Yo, what's happening, y'all? Welcome back. Hour number 3 of OTB Tuesday, which means we kick it off as we do every week with our guy back there. I'm looking at him right now, Nick Underhill. Shout out, Nick. If you'll notice with these interviews, look, Nick is a responsible journalist in that he knows that the game must be played, right? And if you are going to be trusted with information, you have to be trusted to sit on that information and present it and when the time is appropriate. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't leave us breadcrumbs, right? And little trails for us to follow. And our guy basically told us what was coming down the pipeline last week with Sean Payton before it came. And lo and behold, sure enough, Sean Payton now introduced today as Denver Broncos head coach. Nick, did you have any sort of, I don't know if like cognitive dissonance, I don't think that's the right term, but it just felt a bit weird seeing Sean Payton in the orange, really, really just praising another NFL franchise. Did you feel any of that? I know many Saints fans did.
I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I didn't watch a second of anything he said. He's not the coach of the Saints anymore. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just kind of moved on from that a while ago. But look, I think that it's going to be sort of a thing, though. Like, I think that there's probably an element of Saints fans are going to be watching Denver and they're going to not want Denver. They're going to wish Sean well, but they don't want Sean to do better than them. And I think that's going to create a little bit more pressure on top of everything else that already exists here. So it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. I did see the one clip where he was telling Russell Wilson through the media that he can't bring his people in the facility anymore. And look, I think it's going to be fascinating to see how that marriage plays out too, because I think Russ kind of needs Sean a little bit. And I think that he's probably someone that Russ would listen to more so than other people. I mean, Sean Payton got Drew Brees to kind of adapt his game in 2017 to an offense and basically behind the scenes probably told him, like, Drew, your arm's going, you're washed, we're changing this up. And Drew bought in before anybody else could realize that Drew's arm wasn't what it used to be. And then he goes on to have like 3 of the most productive seasons of his entire career. Like, if Sean can get Drew Brees to buy into that, he's going to be able to get Russell Wilson to buy into another program. So I'm going to be fascinated to see how it plays out.
T-Bob, I wish you could have seen how fast Nick was tweeting, typing whenever the news broke at the Senior Bowl practice. I didn't get it in its entirety. Before I sent the video, I was so amazed how fast he was getting it out there that I tried to hurry and get my phone. But you know what? I wasn't as quick as Nick.
Nick, can you write? Have you ever written an article on your phone? Like, can you write on your phone?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it sucks, but yeah, I mean, you definitely got to do it. I've had to like abandon grocery carts in the middle of a grocery store when Mark Ingram resigned in, I think, 15. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff like that. And I mean, it sucks. I mean, you got to leave movies, you got to leave parties, all kinds of stuff. But I mean, that's just kind of the trade-off for, being able to watch football for a living. So sometimes it sucks, but in the grand scheme of things, like I worked concrete before, like, those are hard days. These are never hard days.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, so you're at the Senior Bowl. We were all there, and then the news breaks. And you probably had a good idea, like T-Bob mentioned when we talked to you earlier that day, but it breaks. Like, what was some of the buzz that you were getting from other people around the NFL about what the Saints got back for Sean Payton?
I think that a lot of people inside the league were actually kind of impressed that they got something that good for him, because there wasn't a market. Like, it wasn't people coming out and like recruiting Sean and competing for Sean. It was kind of one team was sort of kind of interested in him. Jeff Ireland told us that for a while they thought they weren't going to be able to trade him or get anything for him this year. And then Denver runs their process. They go to Harbaugh, they go to DeMeco Ryans. Neither one of those things hit. So they come back to Sean. And at that point, Mickey Loomis got a first round pick. And, you kind of do like the trade value chart. It's basically like getting like a first and a better third for him. Yeah. So, I mean, they got kind of 2 picks for him. And, it was for a guy that wasn't going to work for him anymore, that didn't really have any other options. I mean, you could have held out and maybe played a little bit of hardball. I would have liked to trade more if they weren't sending the pick back. But I think all things considered, they got a pretty decent deal for a guy that didn't have, like, I was shocked kind of how it played out for him. And then you think about it, and it is the combination of, power, draft compensation, actual cash. And it was a lot to ask for. So all things considered, I think they did okay. They could have pushed it another year and possibly tried to get something a little bit better a year from now. But I kind of think a bird in the hand is better than the possibility of getting more. So practically speaking, when push came to shove, I think they did okay.
Well, exciting now. You're back in the first round, right? Like all of a sudden this draft's got another juice. You got 29 and 40. Like you can get better with 29 and 40. Nick, I got to say, man, just a pure little technical production standpoint, the lighting and the camera in the studio look beautiful. Your blue eyes are popping on stream right now. You can watch youtube.com/1045 ESPN. Nick.
Hey, we just bought new lights, so I appreciate that you noticed that.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you.
There you go with it. I'm about to say it looks incredible. Okay. I caught up on like 7 New Orleans football articles last night, which again everybody's showing up for. It's an incredible site, and I've decided that look, when it comes to Dennis Allen, was year one disappointed, blah blah. Yes, right. But I'm not just gonna see every decision that's made in the offseason and go, oh, it's Dennis Allen, this is gonna suck, right? I'm gonna try to like objectively look at, okay, do I like this? I kind of like the reshuffling of the defense, maybe not resting on the laurels and looking for more alignment and trying to make a great group better, right? But I did arrive at a bit of a hot take sports talk drive the conversation question, and I'll ask it to you, and that is, like, is Dennis Allen ignoring the offense too much, right? Because, again, it's impressive to me that you have a top 10 defense, and yet you still make all these changes to try to get better. But then you have an offense that scores 20, and no one, nothing changed. Zach Strief leaves, but now Zach Strief is going to be O-line coach for the Broncos. So what do you think? Is he guilty of ignoring that offense?
So I think if you kind of take a step back from it and you dissect it and you look at the process of how they hired Eric Woods, and you kind of think about it, it took a little while. They ran through the offseason. It took a few weeks after they did their staff evaluation. They fire Chris Richard and then kind of immediately have the guy they're moving to. And to me, that says that he went out, he worked the market, called people, saw who was available, said, is this guy going to fit better than maybe what we had before? And look, I'm not saying it's the right decision. I'm just saying it's the decision he made. And his process kind of led him to something very deliberate. And you saw domino A fall and then domino B fall, and it was just kind of back to back. So if I'm looking at it from the offense, I don't think that they by any means are sitting in that building and saying the offense is good enough. I would assume that they probably went out, they made calls, they saw who was available. They didn't see anybody that was definitively better than what they had. There's 15 teams hiring an offensive coordinator this offseason. Yeah. The Saints don't have a quarterback. Their star running back's going to be suspended. Their top wide receiver just signed a weird contract that guarantees he's going to get cut. Their offensive line has a couple holes in it. Their, top tier right tackle has a knee injury that's not going to go away. So what are you selling anybody on? So I think they kind of worked the phones, didn't see that there was probably a way to upgrade that side of the ball, because if they're willing to try to upgrade a top 10 defense, they're definitely willing to try to upgrade an offense that definitely was bad. It wasn't good enough. And, I was a guy on here ranting every Tuesday morning about how bad the offense was and how they needed to make a change. And I still don't believe in it. But, what's done is done, and we'll see how it goes. So just kind of seeing how the defensive search worked versus the offensive kind of complacency. I think that complacency is just not having another move to make. I think that they had to have tried. There's no way that they thought that was okay. So I just think that they didn't have anything to sell anyone on. I don't think they could get a better candidate. And, honestly, some of these teams making changes, they're going to hire people that just aren't going to be good at these jobs. They aren't. In 2 years, they're going to be looking again. And look, the Saints might be looking again too, but if they can find the way to get a quarterback this offseason, maybe get a couple more pieces on offense, if they have to go back into the market next year to look for an OC, maybe they do a better job. The problem is if they're looking for an OC next year, that means they probably had a failed season and there might not be runway for that. But I just honestly believe that they just did not have the moves to make to get better on that side of the ball, because the real problem is the roster isn't good enough.
Nick, so one article that I have not gotten all the way through yet, because I read the first couple of paragraphs and my mind was just kind of blown a little bit. Me and Jake do not agree on Derek Carr. Okay, I think Derek Carr's got some juice. Jake, I don't want to speak for you. How do you feel about Derek Carr?
No, it doesn't help you.
Okay. And okay. And the crazy thing is, though, as you point out, market forces dictate that if you want him, it's probably going to cost about $40 million. That's when I had to
ludicrous.
Put the computer down for a second. I had to breathe because I like Derek Carr.
Again,
40.
You like him. You better love somebody for $40 million.
But that's kind of what Nick points out, though. Is that the case anymore? Like, I mean, the market is that just kind of like, is what it is? Is that truly the price that we're talking about when you're talking about a quarterback of Carr's caliber? And is that worth it, do you think, to the Saints?
I mean, it is what the market dictates. These kind of, average type quarterbacks do cost $40 million. I mean, Kirk Cousins deal is going to expire. He's $35 million. Dak Prescott is $40 million. I mean, that's just kind of where you have to exist to get these guys. It's tough for me because I don't know what the solution would be for them at quarterback. And if you pass this one up, you might never have another option this good. Like the Jets, since Brett Favre, their best quarterback is Mark Sanchez. They've just been looking year after year after year, and they haven't
got chills going down my spine.
They haven't found one. They would kill for Derek Carr right now. Yeah. And I think if you bypass it and you say, okay, look in the draft, you can lose all these games and draft Zach Wilson. I mean, it's just there's just no good way to kind of go about this. So I'm looking at it kind of from a practical standpoint, and I think if it's available, you make the move. He's probably the 15th best quarterback in the league. That means there's 15 guys better, and at the end of every season, they're going to have a loss, and then we're going to sit on here and we're going to talk about, is he good enough? Should they try to upgrade? And we're all going to say, yeah, they should probably look at their options. But if you are on the other side of those 15 quarterbacks, you're kind of in hell. And I just don't know. I don't know the way out of it. So I would make the move, but I wouldn't love it. And I think that you would be disappointed a lot of times, but you would have a chance of at least maybe being okay. Like if everything's right around a Carr level quarterback, you can get to the Super Bowl. Like Jared Goff got there. Jimmy Garoppolo was a deep pass to Emmanuel Sanders away from winning one. I mean, that's a lot of ifs, but like, I don't see any scenario where you can get there with Andy Dalton. Like, I just don't, I think last year was kind of the ceiling on what that can be. So you can kind of go back into that pond and, hope for something else to emerge. I just don't know what's going to emerge. And by the time it emerges, like, have you wasted Chris Olave's whole career? You put all this draft capital in him. Like, does he ever have a good quarterback to throw him the ball? Derek Carr can get the ball down the field. He has a good arm. I kind of hate how he operates in the pocket. It's maddening. Like sometimes you see him climb and get out and extend plays and do the things he's supposed to do. Other times you see him stand back there and he has like happy feet and he makes these crazy like panic decisions. So, I mean, it would probably be frustrating to watch him a lot of weeks, but then some weeks he's going to win you a game. And, I don't know. I can't sit here and like make a case for him. I can make a case against bypassing it. And like, it scares me. The other side of that, like quarterback hell is a very, very scary place.
The thing that's going to make me so angry is if they play it safe because they know this coaching staff, they only have one more opportunity at it, Nick, and they play it safe with a veteran quarterback instead of maybe going to draft someone either at 29, maybe you package 29 and 40 together and you move up, because they're worried about their future and not the franchise's future. That's what's going to make me really angry if they just settle on a quarterback.
The one thing I would say to that is that I think like Loomis and Ireland probably kind of have carte blanche a little bit, and I don't think they're going anywhere. Like Mickey Loomis is he's never getting fired. Like I don't see any scenario where that ever happens. I don't think that he would make a short-term decision to save DA because I just don't think he has that kind of pressure on him like other general managers. And, I think Ireland's in there until he finds another job. I'm still kind of like waiting, like maybe post-draft, like, I don't know. I just can't shake the feeling that maybe he's tied to Sean Payton in some way, and maybe post-draft, like Denver tries to come and get him. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, their aggressiveness is inherent to who they are. So like, they're always going to try to make the aggressive move. I just don't think that like from a front office perspective that it's kind of short-term thinking, but I think that process still kind of maybe leads you to the same place, and they kind of want immediate results, and that's kind of how they've always operated. So yeah, I mean, I think it is a concern, and I think maybe you end up in the same place even if the motive is a little bit different.
Now, last one, Nick, because we keep you so long every Tuesday, but ironically, you have the best quarterback in the NFC South right now, and Andy Dalton. So Am I guilty of just like lazily being, because quarterbacks are so exciting to draft? Like, I've just kind of given myself over to like Hendon Hooker at 29. Hell yeah, let's do it. I mean, I know we're early on in the process, but like, how realistic is that as I'm spouting about it each morning?
I think that a lot of teams in the league probably have like a 3rd round grade on Hendon Hooker. Okay. And I think Anthony Richardson's probably someone with a 2nd round grade. And then, I would guess like some teams probably have Levis number 1, Young 2, and then Stroud 3. Like just kind of maybe guessing at how some teams have those guys ranked. But look, if you have a 3rd round grade on Hendon Hooker, you might take him in the 2nd. And if you like him in the 2nd, I don't know, maybe you could talk yourself into the 1st. Like Garrett Grayson, I don't think I had a 3rd round grade, and they ended up taking him in the 3rd round. So that's just kind of one of those positions where you gotta maybe end up over drafting people. And if you strike out in free agency, your motivation to do that is a little bit higher. But I don't think that's necessarily I don't think they're looking at Hendon Hooker with a 1st round grade.
Nick Underhill. NewOrleans.football is the site. Again, y'all, I really can't recommend the site enough. Him and the whole team, including now Mike Triplett, just bring you incredible insight there each and every day. I mean, you heard him earlier. He got time to watch Sean Payton press conferences, okay? He's on that black and gold grind, baby. Nick, thank you so much, man. The lights look great. You have a great day.
Man. Yeah, take it easy, guys. Appreciate you.
Nick,
Thanks,
Nick _Underhill on
look, and I know we're sitting here and we're having that conversation, but to pay $40 million for Derek Carr, who was 24th in quarterback rating, he was behind Kyler Murray, he was behind Marcus Mariota, who literally walked off the field and quit because he got replaced. He was behind Jacoby Brissett. Andy Dalton was number 9 in quarterback rating. So if you're going to play it safe, that's the safer option, and you don't have to pay $40 million. I'm not saying it's the right option. But if you're going to go with someone like that, and Derek Carr only threw for 700 more yards than Andy Dalton, and he had over 130 more attempts.
Yeah.
And so, for me, if I'm not going to go get a rookie quarterback, if I'm not going to make a splash in free agency, I'm not giving Derek Carr $40 million when he was 24th in quarterback rating and Andy Dalton was 9th.
Yeah, I mean, it's
if
tough
if I'm going to play it with that style.
No, I feel you, and I can't really I can't really argue against that. I have no statistical basis to build it upon, right? I mean, it was an awful year for Derek Carr. I'd have to be banking on him getting back to what he was 2 years ago. We had a nice little run
and he doesn't have the weapons that he had in Vegas. He had Adams, he had Waller for most of the season. Even Foster Moreau, Foster played great this year. He had the leading rusher in the league, so that's supposed to take pressure off of the quarterback. It's not supposed to make his play go the other way.
Yeah.
So, look, and this isn't just a Derek Carr hate session, but, again, $40 million, that ain't going to happen. Not when I'm at the cap number that I'm at, and I've got other holes that I need to fill if I do free up some cap money.
Oof, it is a tough time for the Saints out there right now.